Port Arthur in the state of Tasmania in Australia was once a prison colony. Nowadays, it's a popular tourist site. And why wouldn't it be? It has stunning views, an old historic site to explore, a crazy stone spire along the peninsula. There's a lavender farm there that must smell amazing when the plants are in bloom. And honestly, when it's minus 40 centigrade where I am as I write this, it's 24 centigrade there. Sunny and beautiful. Back on April 28th, 1996, though, something would happen in Port Arthur that would change a great deal for the entire country, for the community, and especially for several dozen families who were directly affected. To understand what happened, we have to roll the clock back just a little bit more, back to 1992. Martin Bryant was a 25-year-old young man who had a rather bizarre relationship with a woman twice his age, Helen Harvey. They lived in nearby Hobart. They did odd things like drive a miniature horse into town to take it for walks. They kept 40 cats, dogs, and birds on a farm, and a pig that Bryant would sometimes sleep with. Harvey died in a car crash in 1992 and left all of her property to Bryant, worth nearly 600,000 Australian dollars. His father moved in with them at the farm in Hobart, but their relationship was not the greatest. They were rather strained. Neighbors who knew them would say. Harvey was strange and becoming fascinated with guns. He had frightened a few neighbors with very odd threats. The same year, Bryant's father tried to purchase a bed and breakfast property called Seascape in Port Arthur. The couple, Nolene and David Martin, though, got the property before the father could come up with the finances to make the purchase. That really bothered the elder Bryant. He complained about double dealing and how he lost the purchase because the Martins were shady. It only got worse when the elder Bryant offered to buy a property the Martins owned on Palmerslicut Road, but the Martins would not sell it. Martin Bryant believed that the Martins bought up the B&B just to hurt his family. He would say they were very mean people and the worst people in his life. He blamed them when, in 1993, his depressed father drowned himself in a farm dam. There were people who suspected Bryant in the deaths of Harvey and the elder Bryant, but there were never any charges laid. In the meantime, Bryant ordered several guns, including 2 semi-automatic military-style weapons by mail order. Tasmania's gun laws were the least restrictive in Australia at the time. He bought loads of ammunition as well. He kept those in one of the properties he inherited from Harvey in Newtown. And though it makes nothing of what came after better, the man had significantly impaired intelligence. Sometime between midnight and noon on April 28, 1996, Bryant showed up at the Seascape property. He was armed to the teeth, and he killed David and Nolene Martin. He then told a couple who were looking for a room that they couldn't see the accommodation. The couple felt really uneasy and left. That was around 12:35 p.m., and David and Nolene were already dead on the property. Bryant then took the keys to the place and some weapons belonging to the Martins, and he got into his car. He headed toward downtown Port Arthur. He stopped where a couple had stopped their overheating car and spoke to them, suggesting they come down to the cafe in Port Arthur later. He drove to the other property owned by the Martins and met up with a neighbor, Roger Larner. He said he might drive up further to visit Larner's wife, and when Larner said he would come too, Bryant changed his mind and said he would return in the afternoon. Instead, he went down to the historic site and paid the entry fee. He parked near the water's edge by a cafe, and he moved his car when a security guard asked him to, but then he moved it right back. The security guard saw him go into the cafe with a sport bag, but ignored him. He went into the cafe, bought a meal, ate it on the deck outside. He started conversations with people, and though people thought he looked kind of nervous, they didn't suspect anything much. It's a busy little cafe, and that day it was crowded with people. Bryant pulls out a rifle, killed 3 people and injured 1. And that was out on the deck. Then he goes in. There's a winemaker who throws a tray at him. And that man's father-in-law was able to protect his daughter and 15-month-old grandson during the distraction. In the next 15 seconds or so, Bryant fired a total of 17 shots. 9 more people died inside the cafe and 10 were wounded, many seriously. He then goes into the gift shop area of the cafe where he fired 29 more shots, killing 8 more people and wounding 3. He turned around then and moved into the car park. There he followed people around buses as they were trying to hide, killing 3 and injuring 4 more. He went back to his car, switched weapons, and came back. He killed 2 more and injured another 2, including a man who he literally chased around and then onto a bus. The next set of killings might just be the most sadistic. So a mom and her 2 young daughters were fleeing the car park toward the toll booth exit. He slowed down his car and the mom came toward it, believing it was somebody who would offer help. Instead, Bryant got out of his car, told the mom to get on her knees, where he then shot her in front of her daughters before shooting the little girls who were 3 and 6. He drove to the toll booth and blocked a gold BMW there. There were 4 people inside. He killed them and then transferred ammunition, a rifle, a fuel container, and handcuffs to his car. He shoots at another car that was coming into the toll booth. Then he drives up to the gas station that was part of the Port Arthur General Store. He cut off a white Toyota that was trying to get onto the highway. He locked the man who was in that car into the trunk of the BMW. He killed the female passenger that was in the Toyota. He then headed for the seascape, the B&B. He shot at a car on the way, blowing at the windshield. He shot at another vehicle that was passing by the seascape. Another vehicle came by and was shot at. And as they left, they picked up passengers from that first car who had stopped their damaged vehicle just up the road. This group managed to get to the Fox and Hounds Inn, where they called police. In the meantime, he shot at a third car that was coming along down that road. He removed his hostage from the trunk and handcuffed him to a stair rail in the B&B. He set the stolen BMW on fire. A standoff ensues between police and Bryant. It ended the next morning when Bryant set fire to the B&B and was captured. Inside, he had killed his hostage. He was held in hospital, having suffered burns in the fire, under heavy guard. People were angry. And, who could blame them? Someone spray painted an eye for an eye across the side of the hospital, and crowds demanded treatment be denied and that he be allowed to die in agony. He was given 35 life sentences and another 25 years for 20 attempted murders, 3 infliction of grievous bodily harm, 8 infliction of wounds, 4 aggravated assaults, and an arson. His youngest victim was just 3 years old, and his eldest were 72. Prior to that day, Tasmania had always resisted gun laws for the country. Not anymore. The Australian government would put forward and quickly pass gun laws that restricted the private ownership of semi-automatic rifles, semi-automatic shotguns, and pump-action shotguns. Firearms licensing was standardized across the country, and they tightened other controls. They set up a buyback program for any weapons that were now illegal. Tasmania and Queensland, along with all of the other states and the territories, were on board. The Port Arthur tourist site reopened only a few weeks after the massacre, and the former cafe was taken down and a memorial built in its place in April 2000. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate you. If you're enjoying these videos and want more, don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any videos. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it.